Welcome to Whisper and Wonder, where soft stories meet soft voices. You're listening to Hello, How Long Has This Been Going On? Episode 4. Let's begin. Tao Jay usually woke up at 7:30, left home at 8:30, and started work at 9. Because he had gone to bed early the night before, Tao Jay, who always stuck to his 9 hours of sleep, woke at 6:30 a.m. The room was awash in blue-gray morning light. He got up and opened the window. Cool, refreshing air poured in, carrying that distinct scent unique to early mornings. Seeing Hu Orion's goodnight message made his heart lift unexpectedly. It had been a long time since anyone had told him, good night. Tao Jay felt that this was the loveliest morning he'd had in a while. And it was Friday. To celebrate the day, he decided to go for a half-hour run after washing up. He had sworn to keep himself healthy from the day he was reborn. But the daily routine of early nights, early mornings, cooking, and work had nearly drained all his willpower. The gym membership he had signed up for early on was long forgotten. And his fancy athletic gear had been shelved without ever being used. Today, he laced up a brand new pair of running shoes and tiptoed downstairs. It was too early for office workers to be out yet. Now and then, he saw a middle schooler rushing out the door with breakfast in hand. Or an elderly person slowly making their way to the market with a woven basket. The neighborhood was wrapped in quiet stillness. The apartment complex was in a good location. A 5-minute walk took him to a park with beautiful scenery. Locals often came here to exercise in the morning. Early summer had arrived. The gardenias in the park bathed in soft morning light, their leaves lush and green, and their white blossoms in full bloom. Their rich fragrance filled the air, a smell that often reminded people of childhood and home. Running through that floral air made time stretch out like a dream. Tao Jay was drenched in sweat, mind drifting, when he nearly ran into a little girl. She was about 3 or 4 years old, wearing a floral dress, cheeks rosy, bent over in the bushes chasing butterflies. She had wandered into the middle of the path, too absorbed in play to notice anything else. Luckily, Tao Jay managed to stop just in time. He let out a breath and gently led her over to the grass. Seeing no adults nearby, he crouched and asked softly, "Why are you playing here all by yourself?" The little girl stared at him with wide, round eyes, pure black and unblinking, then suddenly beamed. Tao Jay was momentarily stunned. Back in high school, there had been a little girl living downstairs. Just about this age, she was never shy, always smiling up at him whenever they passed in the stairwell. At 16 or 17, Tao Jay had really wanted a younger sister. He thought the neighbor's little girl was adorable, and used to bring her a pretty candy every day, making her laugh until her eyes disappeared into crescents. Then she'd say in her sweet voice, "See you tomorrow. My grandpa's walking the dog." "Don't know where he went," she answered, looking seriously around, snapping back to the moment. Tao Jay hesitated. He didn't feel right leaving a kid alone in a public park, but also couldn't just take her to look for her grandfather. So he decided to stay and wait until the man came looking. "I'm Cho-Chu," the little girl said, growing bored of the butterflies and striking up a conversation. "You're really handsome, even more handsome than my brother." Her big, honest eyes shone with innocent affection. Tao Jay chuckled, flattered. "You're really pretty too, prettier than all the other kids I've met." Cho-Chu blushed, cupping her cheeks. Her voice bubbled with joy. "Really? Really?" He nodded with a smile. "Do you always come with your grandpa to walk the dog?" "Uh-huh, I like getting up early." "Is this your first time running here?" "I've never seen you before in the morning." She counted on her fingers, her memory sharp. Tao Jay felt a little sheepish, not even able to outdo a preschooler. "I'll come more often from now on. But when you're out with your grandpa, you have to stay close. Okay? Don't wander off." Before she could respond, an old man jogged up, holding the leash of a fluffy white Samoyed. Cho-Cho's attention instantly shifted. "Grandpa, where'd you go?" "Oh, my little darling, I've been looking everywhere for you," the old man wheezed, hands on his knees. Once he caught his breath, he thanked Tao Jay profusely, explaining that the dog had gotten loose and he'd lost sight of Cho-Chu for a moment. Tao Jay smiled and said it was no trouble. Checking the time, he realized it was about time to head home, eat breakfast, and get ready for work. As he turned to leave, Cho-Chu waved her chubby little hand and grinned. "See you tomorrow, big brother." Tao Jay froze. In his memory, the little girl who would never grow up clutched a colorful candy and smiled at him just like that. See you tomorrow, big brother. For a second, he felt as if he were back in that old neighborhood, that worn-down building he had lived in for over a decade. His backpack heavy on his shoulders. 2 more flights of stairs to climb before he could open the door where his parents waited for him to come home from school. The thick scent of gardenias filled his lungs, sweet and overwhelming, weaving him into a dream he couldn't wake from. He didn't dare look back. He ran. At Shatong Games, the office felt different today. The CEO, who was usually late or absent, had shown up early, looking deadly serious. He immediately pulled the HR manager and project lead into a closed-door meeting. The 3 of them whispered in the office for quite a while. The usual slackers were suddenly nervous, peeking over their monitors and trying to catch a glimpse. Even though the company's projects were objectively bad, they somehow made money. Salaries were decent, and compared to the notorious 996 work culture of the gaming industry, overtime here was minimal. For many, it was a pretty good gig. Several private groups on PP were buzzing with gossip. It was Friday. After all, no one really felt like working anyway. Tao Jay arrived right on time. His face calm, he ignored the hushed whispers around him and the unusually giddy Shui Hugo next to him. He booted up his computer and picked up where he left off yesterday, implementing bug fixes from his optimization plan. Half an hour later, the 3 in the meeting emerged. The CEO scanned the open office and his eyes lit up when they landed on Tao Jay. He walked straight over. Tao Jay followed him reluctantly. He'd just been getting into the zone. But when he returned from the CEO's office, his face wore a strange expression. Promotion should make someone happy. Termination should be upsetting. The team watched him, eyes full of curiosity, trying to read some kind of story in his face, only to find themselves more confused than before. There was too much going on in that unreadable expression. Tao Jay didn't let them down. He didn't sit back down. Instead, he walked straight over to Shui Hugo. His voice was perfectly calm, loud enough for the nearby desks to hear. You told Lee I was talking to other companies' HR? The office erupted. Shui Hugo froze, then forced a smile. He glanced at Lee's empty desk. I just said it offhand. I didn't think he'd tell Mr. Guo. Mr. Guo, the CEO. Lee had taken the day off. Tao Jay's tone remained mild. You peeked at my phone screen, then casually went to report it? What do you mean? Spying. That sounds so harsh. Shui Hugo said with a look of earnest innocence. I just happened to be on my way to see you and caught a glimpse. That's all. Tao, if I may, this really isn't a good look. You're clearly hedging your bets, trying to keep 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You just graduated. You shouldn't be so restless. Oh wait. My bad, you haven't graduated yet. He shifted gears with mock understanding. If you're really that eager to leave, I suppose switching jobs isn't out of the question. But you're still on the team right now. And you're not even trying to do your job properly. We're on a tight schedule. And here you are, rushing home every day to buy groceries. Never once willing to go the extra mile. How do you think the rest of the team feels? The rest of the team, quietly eating popcorn. Do not at us. Everyone had their ears wide open, drinking in the rare thrill of a real-life workplace showdown. Tao Jay, however, didn't look angry at all. In fact, he smiled. Are you done lecturing? Shui Hugo kept up his fake grin. Come on, that wasn't a lecture. Tao, you're just too sensitive. I'm your senior. After all, you really shouldn't speak to me like that. Didn't Mr. Guo already say his piece? Surely you wouldn't get fired over something so minor. Just be more mindful going forward. Oh, right, Tao Jay said, putting special emphasis on the words. I should actually thank you, Senior Shui. Mr. Guo said he's giving me a raise. Shui Hugo choked mid-sentence, staring at him like he just spouted nonsense. Unbothered, Tao Jay continued. After Mr. Guo spoke with Lee, he found out that I've been doing more than twice the normal workload. He realized my pay didn't match my output, so he decided to double my salary. Shui Hugo. And I felt a little bad about it at first. Tao went on, but then Mr. Guo said he'd heard I might be thinking of leaving. The company's already short on developers. And if I left, everyone else would just have more on their plate. So he insisted I take the raise. Shui Hugo. Oh, and, Tao added sweetly, Next week is the Game Expo downtown. There'll be a bunch of unreleased demos. Mr. Guo's giving me a few paid days off so I can go relax. Maybe find some inspiration for our next project. Finally, Tao Jay gave a sugar-coated smile that couldn't have been more fake. Anyway, thanks again, Senior Shui, for your concern. One blow after another, Shui Hugo's face turned visibly red, as if he was one step away from bursting a blood vessel. The onlookers gasped in waves. Was this real-life workplace drama better than any online slapstick novel? Without sparing Shui Hugo another glance, Tao Jay sat down and calmly put on his headphones to block out the noise. Naturally, thinking back to his earlier chat with the CEO, Tao still didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It all started because HR's nickname had "our" in it, which led to a massive misunderstanding about him planning to quit. That alone was absurd enough. But Mr. Guo, ever the imaginative soul, hadn't let go of his talented young heir going incognito for fun theory. After deeply reflecting on the company's current lack of originality, the CEO had gotten misty-eyed, recalling his own youthful dreams of making real games. He'd asked if Tao wanted to try creating something more innovative, thus the expo trip. Under that hopeful gaze, Tao had no choice but to nod. Still, deep down, he couldn't help but worry. If this went on, he really would have to switch jobs again. And moving was such a hassle. Tao sighed quietly to himself. After the morning's drama, work was no longer on his mind. He opened a shopping app and started browsing for privacy screen protectors for his phone and laptop. Just then, a new message popped up on PP. HR. Good morning. Dr. Tao. HR. I'm going on a business trip to Jinbei City next week. HR. Silly cat smile.jpg. The message sent. Huo Ryan felt an unexpected wave of nerves. 10 minutes earlier, he'd woken up from a pleasant dream, and without even lounging a moment, had leapt out of bed, quickly gotten dressed, and run to his study to turn on his computer, like a teenager with internet withdrawal. To justify this odd behavior, he told himself, this is about respecting the doctor. And respecting the doctor is respecting life itself. Who doesn't respect life? Once logged into PP, he saw Dr. Tao's messages waiting for him. Just as he was about to reply, he noticed another unread message, from Huo Jason. Enough and happy. There's been a change in the investment for that Jinbei game company. After re-evaluation, we're only putting in a 30% stake, and shelving any spin-off development. So no need to station staff there for now. Enough and happy. But if you really want to visit Jinbei, there's a game expo next week. Check it out. See if there's any promising projects we can take lead on. Enough and happy. Handshake clenched fist. Huo Jason, in a rare show of digital effort, had registered for PP just to message him. Unless it was urgent, he'd never call or text directly. Clearly, they were definitely father and son. Lately, fed up with all the unwanted male attention, Huo Ryan had been grumbling to Huo Jason about missing the Jinbei project. He didn't care about the project itself, it just would have been a perfect excuse to escape this place. Now, seeing his father's message, his eyes lit up. Dr. Tao was in Jinbei City. Huo Ryan even knew his workplace, the 7th Mental Health Center of Jinbei. Just yesterday, under Dr. Tao's guidance, he'd managed to scare off Shastella, who had been pestering him for weeks. Finally, he could sleep without fear of someone knocking on his door in the dead of night. With gratitude blooming in his chest, he genuinely wanted to thank Dr. Tao in person. He wasn't a real patient, and he hadn't paid for any consultation. Surely he should show his appreciation somehow? Lost in thought, he even started brainstorming what to write on a thank you banner. He stared at the message thread, breath caught, watching as the little typing indicator blinked at the top of the screen. If Dr. Tao wasn't opposed to meeting an online acquaintance, he really wanted to invite him to dinner. After 5 long minutes, the reply finally arrived. Tao, the weather in Jinbei is lovely right now. It'll be a nice trip. After your work's done, you can explore a bit. There's plenty of good street food. Tao, but I'm not too familiar with the area myself, so I can't recommend any spots. I think Sky Forum's travel board has some great threads you can check out. Short and sweet, Huo Ryan read it again and again. a vague sense of disappointment welling up inside him. He was sure Dr. Tao had guessed what he was about to say, and had gently turned down his unspoken invitation to meet. Feeling a little deflated, he thought it through. They'd only known each other a few days. For someone like Dr. Tao, who clearly valued privacy, meeting a stranger from the internet probably wasn't something he'd do lightly. Time to save face. HR. Thank you. Dr. Tao. HR. It's a shame my schedule's so packed, otherwise I'd definitely come thank you in person. Dr. Tao replied almost instantly. Tao. No need to be so polite, tilde. Tao. Dancing plush bear. GIF. Staring at the silly plush bear shimmying across his screen, Huo Ryan right-clicked to add it to his favorites, then let out a relieved sigh. Thankfully, Dr. Tao didn't seem to mind his impulsiveness. Since it was Dr. Tao's working hours, Huo Ryan didn't send another message. Instead, he found himself staring at the default avatar on Tao's profile, feeling more and more curious about the life behind it. Dr. Tao had a regular routine, loved his work, approached everything with caution yet was always willing to lend a hand. He had an entire arsenal of cute reaction images, yet used a plain, default avatar. He enjoyed browsing all kinds of online forums, yet barely knew the city he lived in. Someone so seemingly contradictory. What would his everyday life actually be like? Huo Ryan had considered clicking directly into Dr. Tao's profile. But 5 or 6 years ago, he'd done the same to snoop on his sister Huo Sophie when he suspected she was dating too early. She'd immediately called him out for creeping, leaving him red-handed and flustered. He didn't want Dr. Tao to get the wrong impression of him. So instead, Huo Ryan opened the full timeline page and began scrolling through all of his friends' updates. But after scrolling for so long that his eyes began to blur, all the way back to posts from 3 months ago, he still hadn't found a single one from Dr. Tao. A little disheartened, his gaze happened to catch a new post from Huo Sophie just minutes earlier. Update. Dad. A sudden rainstorm hit the island last night. My poor little sprouting vegetable babies. I was so busy grinding that I missed the whole drama. Wild clapbacks. Exposés. T-Idol even nuked their own post and deleted their account. Wah. Sisters in my friend list. Please bless me with juicy screenshots. After last night, the word T had become a bit of a trigger for Huo Ryan. He didn't fully understand what the second half of her post meant, but still left a couple of comments. Comment. HR. Should have built a greenhouse sooner. Dummy. Comment. HR. Is T-Idol like a green tea person? Huo Sophie replied in a flash. Dad. Is this the real you? Dad. You finally get what green tea means. Dad. I must be dreaming. JPG. Huo Ryan paused for a second, then felt a strange, sudden urge to prove himself. HR. So you think I'm that clueless? Huh? HR. I didn't have the chance to learn all this stuff before, but I'm trying now. HR. Sophie. Don't look down on your big brother, it really hurts his feelings. Dad. Dad. Okay. Stop. I get it. I just had breakfast. Please spare me. HR. Cute. After witnessing her brother's tragic attempt at T-speak, Huo Sophie sent a screenshot. Dad. This guy's a celeb. You probably don't know him. His only skill is performing T behavior. Nothing else. He got famous by being scandalous, so everyone sarcastically calls him T-Idol. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Hello. How long has this been going on? If this story made you smile, feel, or pause, consider subscribing to Whisper and Wonder. New episodes every week. Until next time, stay soft, and keep wondering.